certainly a win that we're really excited about. I couldn't be more proud of the way the team played today in its entirety. I think every phase of the game really impacted the game. I think, as I've said before, I think there are certain numbers in football that are more valuable than others, and any time we are fortunate enough to hold a team under 100 yards rushing, we're going to have a great opportunity to win the football game. And the other one, and this is just, I guess, my background as an offensive line coach, I've always felt that if you can rush the ball for 200 yards and not give up any sacks, which I don't think we did, I think what that does, it gives you a tremendous opportunity to win the game. I think if you go back and you look at those things over time, they'll play out pretty strongly. I can't say enough about Coach Jones's team. I think they do an excellent job. They are very difficult to play against year in and year out. Very physical, very fast, very talented football team. But today I'm really excited about how we played, and I think this is a very typical Big East November game with two teams that are at the top of the conference. A very physical game, and we feel fortunate to come out on top. Questions?
Okay, you talk about how your fill-in tailback played?
Well, I did say at the beginning of the year I felt that we had two starters, and I felt that way all along. It's just that when one gets a little bit dinged up like Savon did earlier in the year, and then one guy gets hot, so to speak, like Juwan did, you don't want to not let him touch the ball. And now the roles have reversed a little bit. Juwan's a little bit dinged up, and he wasn't 100% today. And to his credit, to carry the ball 4 times for 37 yards, not being 100%, because really we only wanted to use him when we felt Savon needed to be spelled, was a tremendous job by him. And I'm proud of both those backs, but for different reasons. And I always felt that given the opportunity, Savon would have this kind of day, and I think today he was presented with the opportunity and did a great job with it.
Kyle, the defensive effort, can you just talk about that?
I mean, it's a tremendous effort. The number one rushing team in our conference coming in, and to hold them under 100 yards. If you hold anybody under 100 yards, you've played really good defense. To do it against Cincinnati is a tremendous accomplishment. And I mean, it really speaks to the entire team defense. I don't know that you can do that without all 11 guys running to the ball and executing the game plan. And certainly credit to Coach Smith and the defensive staff for putting that game plan together. I think they did a great job, and the players executing it. It's I've been at Rutgers for 8 years. I've seen a lot of really good defensive efforts over the last 8 years. This is as good as any of them.
What was your thoughts on how Gary played today?
I was very pleased. The 2 interceptions were certainly not pleased about in the first half, but the first one was a busted protection. And he had a guy in his face. He's trying to throw the ball out of bounds. He just couldn't get enough on it. Unfortunately, it's an interception. I think at the end of the half, he'd like to have that decision back. I think he would tell you that. I would bet you every player on the field at one point or another today would like to have a decision back. But when you're the quarterback, everybody sees it, and that's part of the deal. But Gary prepares very hard, and at no point did I ever feel that his confidence wavered. And I thought he made decisive decisions the entire game, and really did a good job operating the team the way we asked him to.
Field goal drive there in the second half. You guys ran the ball 9 out of 12 times. You talk about being an old line coach. That's got to make you feel real good to be able to do that.
I was pleased with our effort up front and with the running backs and the tight ends and the fullbacks. To have that kind of day without your starting fullback, who's a really good player, and without your starting right guard, who's done a good job for us, I think really speaks to what I said a couple weeks ago, that this part of the season always tests your depth. And nobody's healthy this time of year. Every team that you play, including yourself, has lost key players, and we have, but we've had other people step up, and they did a good job today in their roles.
Savon had 7 of those carries. Did you just sense his confidence growing as the game progressed?
I thought he was confident from I've never felt at any time in his career that he wasn't confident. I think what happens with a running back when he's able to carry it 41 times, which I actually shorted him in the locker room. I thought it was 40. I thought I only gave him a half day. But I think what happens with a running back when they carry it more than 25 times, they get into a rhythm. And they start to feel the way the offensive line is moving. They feel the way the defense is reacting to the blocking schemes. And I think that happened for Savon today. And I think that's always a positive for your runners.
Can you talk about being 5-0 and still controlling your own destiny with 2 to go?
I would, we don't speak to the first part, but the second part I think is important. I think when you are in the situation we're in, we understand exactly how precious and fragile that situation is. We're fortunate that we've done a good enough job. We've put ourselves in that position. But when we come back tomorrow, the most important message to the team is going to be none of those previous wins give us anything next week. You know, we got to go back to work. We're going to go on the road again against a really fine Pittsburgh football team that's getting better each week. And we had better put all our effort into being 1-0 next week, or else you can lose you can lose that. You can lose that ability to control your own destiny. And you don't want, when you have it, you don't want to give it up.
Actually, that's not true. I mean, regardless of what happens next week, you're playing for the Big East and the bid against Louisville.
Well,
That's where you put yourself in position. That's why I was asking about still controlling your own destiny.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Okay. It's very difficult for me to
We won't tell the team. We won't tell the team, all right?
Please don't.
We'll tell players.
Nick's bounced back a 42-yard field goal after the one was blocked. Can you just talk about him being able to bounce back like that?
I thought he did a good job. Really, the one that was blocked was protected fine. It was a low kick. You know, so it really was him bouncing back, because that, you know, he just didn't get enough of a rise on the ball when he kicked it. And then the second one to kick a 42-yarder, he was tremendous. I saw him in pregame kick one from I think 51 or 52 yards. So I felt good that his leg was feeling good today. And I was going to put him out there. I told him that after the one got blocked. I said, hey, process what happened and get ready to kick the next one, because you're going to have another opportunity. And sure enough, he did.
10 games into the season, are you resigned that none of these games are going to be easy? I mean, have you just accepted that?
Absolutely. But I felt that way going into the season. I never expect any of them to be easy, and especially in the Big East. And I think that plays itself out every year. And if you think any of these games in the Big East, as a player or a coach, are going to be easy, you're setting yourself up for a disaster. Is what you're doing. You know, and we know what we're in for next week. It'll be another very physical, very competitive football game where we're going on the road, which is always difficult. I'm sure we're going to have to deal with some crowd issues like today. I thought that the crowd was really good at trying to distract us, and we need to put the same kind of effort that we put into this game into the one that's coming up a week from now.
Kyle, it's probably a tribute to the defensive effort stepping up, but I mean, the 3 trips inside the red zone, you came up with no points in them. Is this stuff that you need to fix?
Give me the last one.
The stuff that you just need to fix. I mean, the 2 INTs and then.
There's no doubt. You know, the interception for sure was disappointing. And again, end of the half, we had a chance to put some points on the board, getting the ball in the second half. I think that's just that's one of those situations where Gary's going to see that, he's going to learn from it, and that'll be a mistake that he doesn't make again. And that's what he's been able to do as this season has progressed. You know, the blocked field goal is a physical error. I don't worry much about physical errors, because I know, unless I think there's a lack of effort, which I certainly don't think there is. I think the players are working really hard. So, you know, we know that we have to execute it in the red zone, and we certainly are going to look at what were the reasons why we didn't. You know, but as the game goes on, every game becomes a little bit different. And as much as I might be disappointed about the field goal that got blocked, I'm really proud of his effort to come back later in the game, correct himself, and make a really big kick for us. To me, the positive is much bigger than the negative.
Got time for 2 more?
Obviously, some of your older defensive players are the only guys that would recall what happened here 2 years ago. But for you personally, I mean, you've seen a lot of games in this building that didn't go Rutgers' way. You talk, is it rewarding, I guess, to get that off? Right?
You know, we don't really think of them. You know, they certainly. Myself as the head coach is different than the game we played here in 06 or 08. Coach Jones was not here for either of those. He was here in 2010. You know, to me, it's much more about the people and the players and the matchups that day. I don't think there's a lot of carryover in a positive way or a negative way year to year in college football. I just think the teams change too dramatically, and at times the coaching staffs change. So, you know, I think this was a one-time event, and we were fortunate to come out on top of it.
Apologies if you've addressed this already, but the goal, the stand on 3rd and 4th down, stopping Wynn twice in a row, how big was that, and what went into the thought process after the timeout?
No, I think it's a big momentum change in a game. Anytime you have the ability to stop somebody on 4th down. You know, I know they handed it to a really talented, really good running back behind a very good offensive line, and we were able to make a play and stop them. And you know, the stopping of the drive is critical, but also you're taking points off the board when you do that. So I think that the combination of those 2 things they're momentum swings in a game for sure.
Thanks, Kyle.